Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show. This is the show where we're going to discuss everything in the tabletop hobby world. I am Wild Chevy, and I'm joined by my buddy Casey. Casey, how are you this New Year?
Well, new year, not a new me. I'm here.
Well, that's good. I mean, did you have a good holiday weekend? For those of you, we did have a 2-week hiatus while we were busy with families.
Yeah, it was. We traveled down to Arizona, enjoyed some 50-degree weather.
What, you missed the snow?
I did not miss the snow. I don't miss the snow at all. I'm not a cold weather person. So went down there, spent some time with the family, kind of recharged the batteries a little bit, and now I'm back, ready to rock and roll. What about yourself?
The family thing. New Year's is pretty a little chill. Just did a little online hangouts with some painters, and yeah, we toasted the night away with our paintbrushes.
Yeah, I think I made it till about 10:30 New Year's Eve, and then went to sleep.
Once you hit that point in your life where you're like, no, it's a little hard to party that all that night. And you have kids too. I mean, yeah, don't want to get them out.
It's mostly the kids. Yeah, once you have kids, New Year's Eve becomes kind of a non-holiday. You just do it.
So did you get anything good for the Christmas season? Any hobby stuff?
I asked for a lot of hobby things. New airbrush compressor, a couple of books. I got none of it.
What? So you're on Santa's naughty list?
Evidently. I mean, I got other stuff. It was just nothing hobby related. Then again, I didn't get anything hobby related last Christmas either. So I have a spouse who does not appreciate the hobby.
Yeah, that would hamper new items.
What about you? You get anything fun for Christmas?
Let's see. Nothing, not much. I have a lovely sister who she's a royal pain in my butt. But she's like, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, I don't know. Everything I usually want for the hobby, I buy myself because I got shiny syndromes. She's just kept pestering. So finally, I was like, "Well, you know what? I don't need it." But so I said, "Give me this guy. It's new, shiny."
Oh, nice.
So I got this guy.
You do need that guy.
Yeah, I don't have a list for him, but he'll paint up nicely.
You can always fit in a Blood Angel chaplain. That's one of the few armies where a chaplain makes a lot of sense.
Well, we'll see. I mean, 40K.
Especially he can double as a death company chaplain. Yeah, he's good.
We'll see. I mean, rumor mill hasn't said much about Blood Angels in the future.
Well, you guys just got a new codex a few months ago.
Oh, we did it? I mean,
yeah, did.
This is GW, so I mean, your codex doesn't last a year.
Yeah, and you got it like over the summer, didn't you?
No.
When did it come out?
That was like that was a long while ago. I think we're hitting almost a year and a half mark.
No, it can't be that old. Whatever. I don't play Blood Angels anyways. Yeah. Blood Angels are dumb.
You've got your superior Tau.
I do. They are.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, but that was it. Did you get any painting done or anything hobby related at least?
Yeah, so let's see here. I've been working on this little guy. I don't think I ever showed you like my finished ghost kills, did I?
No.
Ooh, we're gonna have to pull up some of those guys then here too. Da. So first of all, this is the guy that I'm working on right now.
Nice.
So back to the Infinity miniatures. So this is he's a dactyl from Aleph. He's a doctor. So he's got his little needle gun there. As you can see, he's been primed and pre-shaded, and I've got the skin tones done on him. I'm actually pretty happy that it's not the greatest skin tones that I think anybody's ever seen, but when you knock it out in about 30 minutes and you're angry while you're doing it, then I think that's pretty good.
What do you mean angry? What did you do?
Oh, I wasn't. I was angry about something else. So
Oh.
don't paint when you're angry, kids. I was basically like, I don't even care what he looks like. I'm just putting it on there. And I threw it in the closet. The next morning, I was like, now that I'm a little calm, let me take a look at him and see if he actually looks like what I remember him looking like. So, and I think he turned out okay. So, still got a lot of work to do on him, but I like to do my skin tones first. Generally that way, so I don't kind of, crap out on them later on. So,
Well,
but let's.
some people do say, like they suggest, like putting on clothes. You go in and out. So face first, and then you just build out that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
I mean, yeah, it's a nice mantra, but for me, I'll do that, and then while I'm working on armor or whatever, also there's this purple streak across the face.
Oh yeah, that's true. You do have to be very, very careful about that.
Oh, those are looking nice.
Yeah, so these are these guys are pretty much in their finished state here. These are my ghost kills. So I go back and forth on their helmets being that bright color when the rest of the suit is fairly monochromatic. But I think I'll go with it as it is right now. So, that being said, I think I did a nice job on the helmets.
That OSL looks pretty good too.
That was my usual how I kind of like to do it with an airbrush. I hit it with a bit of white, and then I come back in with like a blue color. You just kind of put that dot so you get the gradient that fades away. Then you kind of color in a little bit. The drones turned out really nice. I think I got a better picture of there. So I did that. I kind of hit it with a blue wash. Did some hard edge highlights around in different areas. I even dry brushed the bottom of it, kind of a turquoise, to kind of really help the color gradient. It's a pity that no one is ever going to notice it. That the nicest work I've ever done is on the bottom side of a drone.
At least you'll know.
I might make it a point to like leave the models on the table when somebody kills it. I'll just flip it over and say, "You will look at this the rest of the game." So yeah, there's another shot of it. So yeah, those models were a lot of fun to paint. I wouldn't mind coming back around to these ones and adding in a little more details here and there. Kind of like touch up the OSL on the suits was just kind of quickly done. So maybe improve on those just a little bit. Do a little more details on the guns.
A little battle damage.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind putting some weathering on these guys because I think this is a model that would take it well. But yeah, overall, this is a unit that I really like using on the table, and I've had a lot of fun painting it. So it's nice when that kind of lines up.
And they're
You're not just
royal,
painting something because you have to.
and they're a royal pain in my butt.
They are a royal pain in everybody's butt. It's nothing personal.
Especially if you're armor, and then, or if you're a tank, then it shouldn't be in the butt.
Well, so that's me. That's what I've been working on. What about you? What have you been
Uh,
up to?
yeah, I mean, I can show you some painted stuff here, which, I mean, these guys are not painted at all, so I'll just take those are just to
Yeah,
keep
just throw them away.
those are just to keep my thing spinning. So I painted this.
Ooh.
This is a anaconda tag, mercenary, and can be used for Ariadna. I got this in the mail right before Christmas from a buddy, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna paint this up for an online competition, and got it done in 3 days.
Wow, very nice, sir.
Yeah, this is pushing the envelope for me. This is uh, the basic greens are done with airbrush. Everything else was regular brush. As you can see, like on the front thighs and all that. Uh, I did a blending technique that I first learned from painting Buddha, looking at one of their videos. So
Was that a loaded brush?
yeah, blooded brush, very. I mean, results. I mean, the results look great. The learning curve, it's rough.
Well, it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, this is my favorite tag that they've done. It's not the most amazing on the table, but I just love this model, and I think you've done a great job.
yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed this one immensely, and it looks pretty.
The base is really nice too. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was asking Mark Sorley. He's a painter in Australia. Uh, he he's a super. I mean, as far as basings go, this guy is like on point on how to do bases. So I threw it out there. I'm like, hey, just need an idea how to do basic. And he's like, well, do it in Mars color. It'll help with the green and all that. So yeah, I put down some the rocks I have in my little basin kit. Took it to the airbrush. Did it with the full thing with the one color. Then I added a little purple to that color for the shading here. And then once I got the miniature on the base, I lightened up the front here with a little bit of pastel, some pastels. Yeah, just brought out that sandy color.
Yeah, it looks very nice. So, what competition is this?
This is an online forum thing. War Games Consortium. They're Infinity. They had a November, December, 2-month competition. One was, or the big one was a tag plus like 150 point list, including a tag, fully painted, or just the tag itself. And I was like, yeah, I really want to do this. But I'm like, well, Hakazan only has one tag, and I've got it. The Sectoral has one tag. I've got it. So I'm like, well, I really need something new. So lucky enough, my buddy Dormacom, I painted that terrain for him. And he's like, hey, I really appreciate what you did. And I'm like, well, he's like, hey, can I pay you back? I'm like, oh, I don't really need anything, but I mean, I do like tags. So I'm like, yeah, I like the Anaconda. So,
I love the Anaconda tag.
now I just need to paint the lady.
Does it actually come with one?
Yeah. It's got the pilot.
Oh, right.
the booty full island.
I don't think she's that bad, like sculpt wise. So are you going to put a little freehand red star or something on the front of him?
Like we were talking with your ghost kills. That's one thing I have a hard time with. Is oh,
We're both dying, man. We're both hacking up lungs here.
oh. Oh, sorry about that. The freehand and battle scars. Need to work on those.
Okay, well, speaking of Infinity, while you're over there trying to recover, we're coming up on LVO, and I plan on playing Infinity at LVO because as much as I love 40K, I think Infinity is just going to be so much of a more enjoyable experience at LVO.
Well, it's different communities.
Different communities and different games. The idea of bringing a skirmish game to an out-of-town convention and having to do that for a couple days seems a lot more fun than just a massive army.
Yeah, like our buddy Darren, 13 drop pods.
Oh gosh, is that what he's up to now?
I think that's something crazy like that. So, I mean, when you have a whole Tupperware container dedicated to drop pods.
I am really hoping that he moves past his drop pod fetish soon.
Well, it works. That's the thing.
Oh, it does. It does totally. I'm just getting a little tired of playing it. Or playing against it, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, you're prepping for the LVO. I'm prepping for the LVO. Yeah, I'm getting sick of looking at my red Marines.
How much more stuff do you have to paint to get ready for it?
Well, I mean, I was working on these guys a little bit too. I got the metallics done, the black done, and some purity seal stuff. I just
Is that your death company?
No, it's the Tac Marines.
Why is he black?
Red and black is flesh tears.
Oh, did you hear they have a new supplement that just came out?
I saw that it was web store only.
Yeah, you should check it out. We'll do a little review here.
Why? The thing is, I don't own any Apple products, so.
Oh, is it iBook only?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dumb. I thought they were getting better about that.
Well, I mean, it's GW. I mean, but what was it? They just put out those getting into an army boxes that are like a screaming good deal, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, yeah, like the Tau box is like $85, but there's at least like 130 bucks worth of product in there.
Same with Space Marines. Same with Tyranids. I'm not sure about because they have the little flying bugs that nobody uses. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, they keep doing all this stuff. I'm like, was it somebody told me? Yeah, it's GW is like a jaded ex-girlfriend, and you don't want to go back to her, but sometimes you do.
Yeah, and that Tau box, it's a squad of the new troops, a squad of new suits, and an ethereal. I don't have an ethereal. I love the new suits. I'd love to try the new preacher squads. Like, I look at that, I'm like, I really want that.
Yeah, it's like you just want to buy, just to buy. It's like they know us too well.
It's really like GW went and looked at my Christmas list and said, "Oh, is that what you want? Well, let me put it all in a box and give you a great deal."
But yeah, so I don't know if you'll see anything like that at the LVO.
Well, you know what they have at LVO a lot of times is if you get their swag bag, a lot of times you'll have retailers there who will let you sell some of your swag bag back to them for credit.
Nice.
So that's always a thought. So okay, but for LVO, so I kind of wanted to talk about Infinity just a little bit this evening. We'll keep it kind of quick here. So as we're coming up to LVO, yeah, you're on the internet.
I know.
Say hi. And we're gonna go to screen share. So thought I'd talk a little bit about the missions for Infinity here, because
Now,
I talk to people a lot.
well, they've
and-
changed it up, right?
They did. It went from a 3-round to a 4-round, and they just added on an extra mission.
So that must mean there's going to be a lot more people showing up, because that's used to have on the TO part. It says, yeah, if you have so many people, 3 rounds, so many people, 4 rounds, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So I think every week as we kind of lead up here, we'll kind of talk a little bit about the different missions. Because what I've found is a lot of times people don't have a really great idea of what the missions are in Infinity. Even though they're playing the game and they might be they might be familiar with what the mission does, they really don't prepare for the mission, and they don't think as critically as they should about what this mission means and what they need.
Now, did they say if the classified deck is going to be mandatory? I know there was something about that last year, that you had to have one of these at ITS events.
Right. So technically, Corvus Belli says that you need to have a classified deck if you're going to play an ITS mission. Whether or not that's enforced is kind of up to the TOs.
Right. But I mean, it made sense. Because it's something that's secretive, and you really need to have a way of evidence to say you are getting points for something.
Well, to be honest, I don't like talking about this one because I get angry about it. I don't think that you should require somebody to use a deck when you have a table that you can roll on for free. But let's look at the mission here. So the first mission we're going to talk about, or the only mission we're going to talk about tonight, is called Coffin Raiders. Ever played this one before, Alan?
No, I do not like there are some missions I do not like because they require the building. And
yes,
I avoid those because until recently I never had a building.
Well, I know a lot of people will avoid this one simply because this is a complicated mission.
Oh yeah. Well, let's go. Because Infinity is a lot different than other games because it's more heavily based on objectives. You could defeat your opponent handily by killing all his models and still lose the game if your opponent played mission.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to do well in Infinity, or at least in the ITS or a tournament setting, you need to play the missions. Killing your opponent typically does not help you. And even in missions where you're supposed to be killing people, it doesn't help you very much.
And I think that's also like where list building too. I've had a lot of people, they're like, oh, they're just getting into Infinity, like, what's the bruiser beat down, the all-star character I need to bring? I'm like, doesn't matter. Build your list for these missions, because if you have if you have guys that can take care of your stuff, and then you have backup guys that can do it too, you'll be a lot better off than having your all-star guy just charge up there and murder everybody.
Yep. As a wise man once told me, Infinity or list building in Infinity is all about having the proper tools in your toolbox.
All right, so let's give us a brief overview of what this mission entails.
Okay, so you can get lost. There's a lot of descriptions going on in this mission, but really what you want to do is you want to start with this figure here, what you see. So you have your regular 12-inch deployment zones, and on each edge of those deployment zones, 8 inches in, you have consoles, right? And then in the very middle, you have your objective room, and inside of that room, you have 4 tech coffins in each one of the corners. And there's 4 doors that open up. And it's the usual hilarious, amazing thing of when you open one door, you open all 4 doors simultaneously.
So this kind of captures the flag?
Similar to it, yes. So, and then also remember, very important, you have the 8-inch exclusion zones measured off of the center line. So if you have infiltration models, AD combat jump models, mechanized deployment models, you can only move up 4 inches past your normal deployment zone.
Yeah, I think I remember playing this once with my Hawk Islam. And yeah, it was very hard to put my impersonator. Because yeah, there's that 4-inch bubble outside of their deployment zone.
Yep. Now the interesting thing to keep in mind here, as kind of a non sequitur, is that if you have inferior infiltration, you can actually put them in the other guy's dead zone. And it transmit a nice little road speed bumps. Anyways, so the purpose of this mission. For this mission, you want to move up into the objective room. You need to hack a console. Once you hack that console, and that's just a regular whip roll, you will get a marker. Then you take that marker to one of the 2 beacons. Once you have a model in base-to-base contact with the beacon, and who also has the token with them, then they can transmit that information. You want to download more than your opponent. You want to transmit more than your opponent. Is really what this comes down to.
So you get points for hacking, then deliver.
Correct. Oh, and I should mention that doctors and paramedics get a +3 to their willpower roll. So essentially, you've got to start all the way back here in your deployment zone. You have to move up to the room. You have to open the door to the room. You have to get inside the room, hack the console, get the token, get back into your deployment zone, and then get to the beacon, and then make a roll.
All while using your 10 to 15 orders and not getting killed.
Right. I'm the first person to say I hate order spam. I don't think it's good for the game. However, this is the mission where you want to do it.
I'd say even with order spam, this is a very difficult mission with its resource management. You have to be wise on how you're going to use your resources to get into that building, grab the info, and then get out.
Right, and they've made it even. Corvus Belli in their most recent pack has made this even more difficult, because up until now the idea has been, if you can get your 4 people into that objective room, then you could excuse me, you could spend a command token plus a normal order to do a combined order and have all of them hack the consoles simultaneously. Good idea in theory, however, the fact is that you're not allowed to do that because they're all individual targets. The same goes for trying to use a fire team. So even if you have a fire team full of doctors, you can't move them up in there.
It kind of makes sense.
So these really have to be accomplished one at a time. Now, what you'd like to try and do is have a fast moving model that can do it all. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, have a bike model or something like that waiting outside the door. Well, you can, but that's several extra orders that you're having to make. So if you can get like a night hospitaler, who's a doctor, who also has a 6'4" movement, he's actually going to be really ideal for you. Now, he has Pano willpower, which means he's not great, but he's a doctor, so he has +3, and that'll help mitigate it a little bit.
Well, I guess it depends on the army you take too, because some armies don't have a good matchup on doctors or like for me, I would take like my Dr. Akbar, sorry, Dr. Akbar, and pair him with a remote, and then he goes, gets the info, gives it to the remote, and then the remote just shoots off with its super moves.
Mm-hmm. Now, what you really want to pay attention to here is, oh my gosh, I can barely talk. We might cut this short here, man. Is if you read it. Hold on a sec.
Now, from my experience, when I played this mission before, I went and played up against an opponent who only had 3 specialists, and both of those specialists got taken out, or he was hiding one very far behind, and he could not bring it. He could not bring his specialist in to take care of anything. So what he ended up doing was camping the doors, waiting for me to get the items and try to steal the flag for me. And it was a little brutal. It was a firefight in that little room, and it was not fun at all.
So, right, so you can steal packets from your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of those interesting ones because you don't actually have to ever interact with your opponent if you really didn't want to. This is one of those missions where before the game you could shake hands and have a gentleman's agreement that you would never shoot at each other. And you could both walk away with a lot of points still on this mission. Because you get a point for every time you download a data pack, and then you get a point for every time you transmit a data pack. Now, you can only download 4, and even though you can pick up somebody else's, you can't transmit the other guys. So, I'm really sorry. So turn 1, for most people's armies, you're not going to have enough orders to really do all of your objectives.
So instead of speculating other people's lists, how would you attack this with the list that you are contemplating taking?
So I think most people, if you're not going to be spamming orders, you're going to be in the range of anywhere from 10 to 14 orders. Obviously, you're going to want to focus on doctors. If you have a way to speed up your doctors, all the better. The way you want to attack this is, first of all, don't try and eat this elephant all at once. Take it bite by bite. So in your first turn, what you want to try and do is you want to create some lanes of movement. You want to figure out, so if you have models of smoke grenades and they're going to have trouble moving between a few areas. Like you can get from the door to the beacon fairly clear, except for that one area. You're going to want to set up your guy with smoke grenades or somehow screen this area off. And then next, you're going to want to move up to the door. Ideally, you're not going to want to open the door on your first turn. You're going to want to set up guys who are looking at the door in case your opponent does. And that way you're going to generate AROs off of it. And so consider this really a setup. If possible, try and move up some hackers up around here so they can take advantage of some AROs if possible. Out of line of sight AROs. Well, the really great thing is try and put a flamethrower, like just a cheap throwaway flamethrower model up in here. So the first time somebody opens the door and tries to get in, you can just give them a lot of trouble. Or mine layers will be really nice for this mission as well.
Yeah, that's what I would suggest is a mine layer or somebody with a repeater in case they're going against heavy infantry.
Right. The ideal would maybe be like a nomad intruder, or not a nomad intruder, a nomad zero, who he does have infiltration that lets him move up a little bit, but he also has the mine lay ability, so he can move up there, put some mines around the door, and then just kind of hold back and basically make it difficult for your opponent to get up inside of that room.
Well, mine layer really has its advantage for able to place mines on your deployment. With that exclusion zone, that would be a really hard thing to do. I think anybody
right, but it's going to give you an extra 4 inches. That's still a whole, that's still half of a movement for you. So it's not as great as it could be, but it's better than starting back in your deployment zone.
True, but I think anybody with a mines ability, it's like you say, yeah, it's you're trying to deny your opponent access as well as grabbing access.
So spend your first turn setting up. Then in your second turn, really just focus, throw a lot of smoke grenades, do what you got to do, use cautious movement skills to try and get your 4 med packs and then get out of the room. Because that room is not where you want to be. Don't end your first turn inside of the room. Don't end your second turn inside of that room. Get your med packs and get out of there. And then, again, your opponent should typically be spending most of his orders trying to do the same thing versus trying to go up and slaughter you. So you should be able to preserve a lot of your orders. And then in your third turn, that's when you make a run for your console. And then try and get as many of your data packs transmitted as in your last turn.
So would you say going first or second is more advantageous?
This is a mission that I would like to go first on, if possible, simply because it's going to allow you to get up to the objective room first and set yourself up for AROs and maybe also set up and deploy mines. There's really no advantage of going second, other than like the usual ones inside of the game. This mission doesn't really help you out much. Like it does in some of the other ones going second. So being able to get up and getting your army out of your deployment zone into the exclusion zone is ideally what you want to do. And first turn is what really enables you. I'm about ready to die here, man.
All right, well, so that's one of the missions that you're going to look forward to if you're playing Infinity at LVO. Well, like I said, we've got less than a month, right?
Yeah, we're right about at the 1 month mark.
Yeah, we'll be there in February. If you're there, we'd love to see you too. And yeah, rest of this every week we'll be discussing a mission on the LVO for Infinity. 40K is pretty much standard 40K, except it's got some modified Maelstrom missions. So it's not much to talk about. I mean, but we'll I mean, if you want us to talk about it, we will talk about it. Just let us know in the comments. some other thing that I'd like to talk about, if you haven't noticed or haven't seen it yet, is this bad boy here. This is the 10th anniversary for Corvus Belli. They're releasing this limited edition box. This is Achilles for Aleph. This is going to have the one standard issue pose that you'll be able to get down the line is a blister pack, but it also comes with the LE pose with the severed head. This is I know Casey's been wanting this guy because, I mean, it's Brad Pitt, and he just loves Brad Pitt.
I do, man. Those flowing golden locks just do it for me. But they've actually released the profile for this guy.
Yeah. He's so this is his hoplite armor. This is version 2. He's still heavy infantry. He's got Cube 2.0. He's regular. He's got Frenzy, and he's hackable. So that's always good for the hackers in your list. Super mover, 6'4". Dude can cut you down and shoot you up. He's got great close combat and ballistic skill. He's got a great physique and willpower. This dude's a mini tag in his own right. 6 armor, 6 BTS, 3 wounds.
Yep, and don't forget he also has mimetism, so that's going to be -3 to hit him.
Yeah.
He also has forward deployment.
And what is that? Level 1.
So there's no level 2 or level 3. There's only level 1 at the moment. But forward deployment allows you to deploy up to 4 inches beyond your deployment zone. It should be noted that there's a lot of missions, either in Paradiso or in ITS, that say you can't, that kind of punish you, like what we were just talking about with their exclusion zones, which really won't have an effect on him. So he'll generally be able to get use out of that skill no matter what.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like I said, he's a mini tag. He's got the points for it. Well, racking around 74 to 75 points. And the only difference is what he's kitted out with, either multi-rifle or Spitfire.
Right. The Spitfire will cost you 2.5 support weapon cost, which is a little bit more than I'm generally willing to pay. Fortunately, the multi-rifle is a really nice option.
2.5. I did not notice that earlier. This guy, right? He's taking up your almost half of your special weapon cost for a 300-point list.
Yeah, he is a tag, and he's got all the advantages and all the disadvantages that come with being a tag. He's great. Armor 6 is great. BTS 6 is great. Ballistic skill 15 is great. Physique 15 is great. He's got an explosive combat weapon. He's going to rock whatever he comes up against. But like every other tag that you have to deal with, he's a significant investment. You can't just throw him into a list. You have to build your list around this guy.
Yeah, and there's some counters to him. I mean, yeah, there's hacking counters, adhesive launchers, only having mimetism. I mean, flamers can take him out.
Right. Yeah, you really got to build your list around this guy, and I doubt you'll see him much in ITS. The same reason why you don't see a lot of tags in ITS.
No,
they take up a lot of points, and they're just hard to justify when what you need in ITS is a boatload of orders and a lot of specialists, because he'll do great at wrecking someone, but he doesn't actually help you score points.
Sure, he's the boogeyman. You put him on the board, people are gonna freak out. But
Now,
when he
Campaign
falls.
Paradiso, I would love this guy.
Oh yeah, campaign play, air quote friendly play. Yeah, he'd be interesting.
Yeah, the multi rifle is great because you get to choose for shock or double action. Uh, and if you've ever gotten hit with shock ammo or double action, it puts things down hard. So, yeah. Otherwise, this guy, he's just a fire and forget missile.
He's a pretty boy. So, are you going to pick up one?
Oh, certainly. There's a lot of people who don't like this sculpt, and I don't really get that. Achilles is as much a piece of propaganda as he is a weapon of war, and that's really, I think, what they're kind of showcasing here. And the one where he's got his sword lifted up, you can almost imagine that being like on a recruitment poster. Versus, and the one where he's kind of holding up the head is, kind of like Medusa-esque. You can imagine him standing out in the front of the battlefield where he's just like decapitated a sergeant or something, and is trying to scare the rest of the Morats. But they're Morats; they don't scare anyways. So it's more like he's just bringing them closer so he can hit them with his sword.
Well, I mean, he did a very good job cutting off the head. I mean, he left the beard intact. He left the dreads and everything. I mean, he took his time.
That's the sign of a real professional right there. The man cares about his job. He doesn't just like hack away at everything. Because the beard is what adds to it. That's what lets you know that it's quality work.
Now, I mean, it's Achilles. So, what would you say his Achilles heel would be?
His points. He's such a well-rounded model, and he does everything well. I guess the one disadvantage would be that he is frenzy, and so that means that he won't be able to take advantage of partial cover.
Yeah, so
once he frenzies, and he will.
Yeah, he will kill anything that goes in close combat or shoots.
And so that mimetism is important. That it's kind of there to offset, the impetuousness of him. Because having that -3 to hit him, when you're in partial cover is really nice. But you will lose it quickly on this model. So, but I mean, BTS 6 is nice. He's going to be hard to hack. Possible, but it won't be easy.
It would suck, yeah, if he got not mobilized. The one where he goes into his own aura pool.
Oh, yeah.
Isolated. Yeah, you isolate him, and he's going to be waving that sword all by his lonesome.
But you can just move him back with a command token. Frustrating, but you can get around it.
Yeah, resource management.
I don't know. I have never once ended a game where I've spent all of my command tokens. Have you?
I forget about them. It's one of those. It's a new thing in N3, and I understand the tactical abilities of them. I forget about it most times. Although I do like that I can re-roll on my doctor.
Yeah, could you have Akbar doctors?
Yep, I got regular. I mean, I got Doctor Plus. I'm rolling on 18s and still hitting 20s.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to go over this evening, Alan, before I die?
No, I think we're good this week. So we brought up some good discussion points, folks. If you're watching, let us know what you think in the comments below. One, are you going to the LVO? We'd really love to see you there. I mean, Casey will be signing folks, kissing babies, hopefully not with a cough. Yeah, we'll be down there. We'd love to meet you. Love to say hi. Casey will be probably buying rounds of drinks for everybody. After his wife leaves. But yes, that is it for the show tonight, folks. Thank you for joining in. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. It really helps us out here. Casey, anything else?
Nothing else from me. Just as always, if you've got a little bit of information that you'd like us to take a look at, or if there's a product you think is interesting, shoot us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com. This is the Atomic Salt, and my cough has blown my mind.
We look forward to 2016, folks. Yeah, tune in next week. And good night. And I'll leave you with a little bit of Anaconda.